Councillor Casson will continue as a councillor, but his views are inconsistent with what most New Zealanders in my council say. I think it's very insensitive. He's entitled to his opinions, and that's his personal position.
Are you surprised that these are comments he's made?
Look, he has a track record for not supporting council's initiatives on working with their ethnic communities, and that's the position he takes.
These are the kind of opinions he's expressed in the past?
Well, look, Hamilton City Council has a close relationship with working with their ethnic and our religious communities around cultural diversity. But this member generally hasn't supported cultural diversity initiatives that our council's put up.
Are the comments racist?
Look, I just believe they're unacceptable, but it is his opinion.
Does he work for Immigration New Zealand?
Yes, I understand he does.
In what capacity?
I understand he's an immigration. He's one of the guys who goes out looking for people who have overstayed or shouldn't be in our country, but I'm not his employer on that front, so I'm not fully conversed with what he does in that role. Do
you know whether his employer is aware of his views?
Look, that'll be between him and his employer, and I'm sure that will come up over the next few days or weeks, but that's between him and his employer.
So what are you going to do about this?
Look, my council staff, I've had them working on this over the weekend, and their initial assessment and opinion is that Councillor Casson has not broken our code of conduct. It would appear that there's no basis to discipline the member using the code of conduct. So the member was giving an opinion, his position as a democratically elected member.
Does that mean then that the code of conduct is fit for purpose?
Look, elected members are their own person. They're not part of a party structure like central government, so each person has their own views. This may be at the extreme end of the political spectrum, and I believe the voters will have the opportunity to express their views in the ballot box this October.
So you can't censure him?
It appears as though I have no grounds under our code of conduct to do that, no.
So he stays in post for another 6 months?
Yes, but the election is coming up in October, so people will have a chance to have their say then.
Do you think that these comments amount to hate speech?
That's a concern. People, not everybody's as strong, and not other people can sort out in their own mind a position that gets spoken around the dining room table at home or the smoker room table at work, or off a lectern in public. And it concerns me that people pick up on these extreme views, and everything starts with a word, and words have power, and that is a concern.
Andrew King, Mayor of Hamilton, thank you for speaking to us today. And we did attempted to contact James Casson. He did not return Morning Report's calls last night. It's 7:20.
And let's dig into this issue a little bit more. The Justice Minister Andrew Little has said he'd fast-track a review of current laws that could lead to hate crime being made a legal offence. But the leader of the ACT Party says that could be divisive if it meant that certain people were deemed more deserving of legal protection than others. Well, David Seymour is the ACT Party leader. He's with me in the Auckland studio. Good morning to you.
Hey, good morning, Gail.
If we could start with these comments from this Hamilton councillor. Now, I know that this is in the speech rather than the crime area. What do you think, firstly, of this comments that he's made in this Facebook post?
Well, look, I mean, I was the first politician to stand up to Labour's Chinese-sounding name stunt. I was the only MP to say that Ron Mark should apologise to Melissa Lee and Kanwal Bakshi for the disgraceful things he said about them in Parliament. And I think this guy was best described by one of his council colleagues who said that he's a dickhead. But I think also the previous commenter was correct that the voters will decide, and all the people I know in Hamilton, I'm pretty sure, won't be voting for him in 6 months' time when councils go to elections. So I think that actually will be dealt with.
OK, so the ballot box is enough of a penalty. If we look at hate crime, And as far as I understand the term, it means a crime carried out specifically on the victim because of their sexuality, ethnicity or religion, right? There may be others examples too, but that's the crux of it, isn't it? What is wrong with that in your view?
Well, I don't think there's anything wrong with having aggravating factors in the Sentencing Act for people that carry out a crime that is motivated by hate of somebody for an enduring characteristic. And the Sentencing Act actually says that it's an aggravating factor that judges must consider if you commit a crime against somebody on the basis of their race, colour, nationality, religion, gender identity, sexual orientation, age or disability. So it's pretty comprehensive. And so if you go and commit graffiti, that's generally a pretty minor crime. But if you commit graffiti and you put a swastika on the Jewish graves at the top of Simon Street in Auckland, then I would hope the judge would consider that an aggravating factor and you'd get a lot more than for your standard tagging.
Yes, so what's wrong with taking it a bit further and making hate crime a specific offence? Are you just thinking that we're there already and we don't need to duplicate it, or do you think the more sinister effects of that?
Well, I think you've got to look at the country that's gone furthest down this path. Since the Public Order Act in 1986, the British have been adding to their hate crime regime. Their Law Commission is currently considering whether they should add, I'm not making this up, men and women to groups that could be protected groups and could be subject to hate crimes. And what you do is that you end up creating a lot of resentment. It descends into farce, and where you arrive is where we should be anyway, that all people have common humanity and inherent dignity, and it actually is divisive to start singling out, this person shouldn't be subject to a crime and this person should be.
What about the idea of a register of these kinds of offences, though? Would that not help? I know there's been some call for that.
Well, I mean, another thing that the UK shows us is that they have a register, and hate crimes have doubled in the last 5 or 6 years, despite them being the country that cracks down on this. But registering the types of crime in itself is something that the police should be doing anyway. I mean, the police's job is to study patterns in crime, analyse the statistics, and work out how to better fight crime. But what I would say is that when the government makes it its role to start working out which opinions are right and which ones are wrong and which ones should be punished, that's when you get into real difficulty. And again, the UK has had this problem. They have for a while made it illegal to insult somebody. That led to protests and huge outcries. And I think to some extent, the way that they've approached hate crimes has led to the amount of division that they have, because there's a lot of people saying, hang on a minute, shouldn't we respect everybody? Aren't we free what we're able shouldn't we be free to say what we want to say? You actually lose trust in the law and you get more resentment than they had beforehand.
Thanks for your time this morning. David Seymour, the ACT Party leader, here with me in the Auckland studio. 25 minutes past 7 now.
And frustration is at boiling point on the West Coast as residents struggle to get their lives back on track after last week's torrential rain. Haast locals are waking to a sixth day without power. In Franz Joseph, residents are